2, 3. I'm coming home, coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming.
We are home on Game Time and not singing. Lucky for you. Casey Stearns, Sekou Smith, here inside our studios here in Atlanta. You want to give that like a 1 to 10 score?
No, but I do appreciate the countdown. Making sure everybody's coordinated, getting it right before the
Remind me, where does he make home? Where was he from?
I believe it's from somewhere near the tri-state area.
All right, so we're saying Big Apple? That wasn't a shot at LeBron using that song, right?
No. Everything's a shot.
This is a conspiracy theory kind of a show. Over the next 30, we'll get to plenty on this program, but of course a lot of talk about Kyrie, not just from us, but from those in the Cavaliers organization, most importantly. They had a press conference discussing the state of Kyrie Irving as a Cavalier.
We talked about a wide range of possibilities in the future. At that time, we had not signed Kobe yet as our general manager, and there were a few other moves, I believe, that have been made that weren't made at that time. So, you know, these things are fluid. We think that Kyrie Irving is, you know, one of the best guards in the NBA. You know, he's part of a championship, 3 years straight to the finals, and you know, we value his talent significantly. So
he's a core piece of what we've done. Kyrie is a tremendous player. He has made great contributions to this franchise, and you know, we enjoy him as a player, and we're going to keep sort of the stuff in house in terms of what was said in those meetings. But he continues to be a core piece of who we are and what we do.
Right now, Kyrie Irving is under contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers for 2 or 3 years, depending on the last year. So as of now, he's one of our best players, and sure, we expect him to be in camp.
So you're saying there's a chance. You know, you don't really learn anything from what just happened. I think the question still becomes, what's the communication been? And the reports have been that even if there have been with, you know, his agent representation, Kyrie doesn't seem like he's had any with the Cavaliers. Does that spell doom for you? I mean, where do you think this is right now with Kyrie Irving?
Well, look, I think it's clear Kyrie Irving has made his wishes clear to the Cavaliers. He wants to be moved. They can do everything in their power to try and convince him otherwise. But once a guy comes to you face to face and tells you, hey, I want you to move me and here are the places I want to go, I don't know how you walk that back if you're Kyrie. There's no way that he shows up to training camp and says, well, it was just a big misunderstanding. I've changed my mind since I walked in and asked for the organization to trade me. To me, it becomes a deal now where if you're Kobe Altman and Dan Gilbert, it's just about finding the right deal. I don't know that there's any reason for you to try and convince Kyrie to stick around.
You know, here's the irony. I think in a normal situation, you'd have the guy like LeBron go ahead and intervene and say, don't worry, I'll calm Kyrie down, although he is the problem, or at least that relationship is. So, no offense to Tristan Thompson or anybody else, I don't think they're going to convince Kyrie Irving. Do you think that relationship is repairable at this point?
Well, I think you use the magic word that doesn't apply in this situation. Normal. This is not a normal situation, and it's never a normal situation when LeBron is involved. Again, if Kyrie has made up his mind, and I think these are champions, strong-willed guys who have some pretty obvious ideas about where they want their careers to go now and into the future, I don't know that LeBron can say anything to walk all of this back. No matter what your perspective is if you're LeBron, and no matter what you think is going on if you're Kyrie, if you want to be the man somewhere, if you've decided, I want my own show, I want to be the guy that carries that load and has the game and the franchise on my shoulders every night, then he's got to find where that place is. And if the Cavs aren't going to facilitate it, what makes him think it'll be a smooth sail between now and the end of his contract? I mean, it's incumbent upon the organization, Casey, to do what's right for the organization and move this guy if he doesn't want to be there.
Did you get the feeling, without them saying and admitting it, that the D-Rose signing was a plan B?
It has to be, but they were looking for a plan B just in general, because Kyrie's a guy who needs you got to have a solid veteran backup.
You're saying it's not Jose Calderon?
I don't think so. And I think they experimented with Darren Williams. Obviously, this past season, that didn't work out the way they wanted to. They're looking for somebody a little more dynamic than Calderon, obviously. A guy who can facilitate and be that extra playmaker LeBron talked about all last season. I think Derrick Rose is the guy that they're looking for, not necessarily just a plan B for a Kyrie departure, but somebody they felt like would help them either way.
All right, where Kyrie goes or traded to, that's only one question. There is this whole where's LeBron going to end up after the year scenario. Here's Cavs brass on whether or not they're confident in LeBron's future.
LeBron remains deeply committed to this organization. He remains deeply committed to this team and deeply committed to this city. He has deep roots to this city, and it means a lot for him to be here and compete for championships for years to come. That's his goal, and so we have shared goals. We have shared vision. When you talk to him in the offseason, it's always about how do we get better? How do we improve? Because the goal is singular. It's focused in trying to win championships. And so we're committed to him.
You know, we do not control all the cards that we get dealt. A player who goes into, any player, LeBron or otherwise, goes to unrestricted free agency, if the team wants them, then it becomes their decision, right? Not our decision.
Refresh my memory. After nana nana, hey, 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 what comes after that?
I admire Kobe Altman's optimism. I appreciate Dan Gilbert's reality.
I feel a butt coming here.
No, he's lived it. He understands that, you know, LeBron has walked away before. That has to be on Dan Gilbert's mind, knowing what comes with unrestricted free agency at the end of this next season. So he can't be naive enough to go in there and assume anything about LeBron. He knows that LeBron's a strong-willed guy who's going to make up his own mind and won't be influenced by his connections to Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. We all remember the fallout the last time LeBron walked away. I think it will be quite different this time around, having fulfilled his promise, you know, to the fans of Northeast Ohio to bring them a championship in that drought. So I don't know that the vitriol will be the same. And I think if you look at the way things have played out with David Griffin and the organization, LeBron has some cover this time if he were to leave Cleveland.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's where I was going to go. He already bought his alibi, or his out, if you want. If you're trying to keep LeBron and you're the Cavaliers, this is your moneymaker. When he's gone, we don't know when you'll ever be back here again. How do you not do every single possible thing on God's green earth to make sure that it happens? You do the opposite. You didn't really make yourself much better to face the Warriors. He still knows he probably can't win with this team a championship, and you go ahead and fire the guy that he likes the most in David Griffin.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're overemphasizing some of the connections that he has with the organization the second time around. You know, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think he came back with a much more business-like attitude about what goes on there. His heartstrings were there, obviously. But this is a guy who's looking at all that's going on in both of his stints in Cleveland and has to understand that he's the master of his own destiny in terms of how his career finishes. So if he wants it to finish in Northeast Ohio with the Cavaliers, well, it's an easy decision to make. But if he's got all these other options out there and you have to weigh all of these opportunities that could be on his doorstep in free agency, that's not as easy a choice to me as a lot of people assume. I know Kobe Altman talked about how deep-rooted LeBron's ties are into the community.
Where's his house?
And how he's connected, but he's a guy who's lived this thing before. Kobe Altman, I don't know that he was around the last time the decision went down. This is new territory for him.
And his house and kids are...
Yeah, he's got residence in L.A. So.
Elsewhere. From L.A. to what the Cavs do, we talked about what they didn't do. Paul George was moved. We thought maybe he would be a guy. There were a lot of different reports, but how about the Cavs brass? Interesting comments today about the Pacers deal.
I'm not going to talk about that specific trade, but know that we were active during that time, and every team in the NBA was active during that time to try to help their respective franchises.
I will say that Indiana could have done better than they did.
So analysis, coming at the back end of that. This was a trade that I think shocked us all because nobody had Oklahoma City on the list.
Not only that, when you look at the package you get for a player of Paul George's caliber, you didn't get another All-Star, you didn't get a future pick, you didn't get 2 second-round picks in 2047. I mean, all you got, and I don't mean this to disparage these two guys, but all you got was Oladipo and Sabonis, two guys who are solid NBA players. You know, Oladipo further along in his career, obviously, than Sabonis is, but you didn't get something that, if you're in Indiana, you go, we came out pretty good in this deal. That was inevitable, that Paul George was going to leave, much like we're talking about Kyrie and anybody else. If you can see the free agent finish line and you know a guy's not going to stick around, you have to make a move to ensure that the organization gets something for him. They didn't do it this time.